Hi, everyone. Welcome to your podcast for clear and easy listening to boost your English skills. I'm excited to share fresh ideas that make learning English fun and inspiring. Today, we're diving into a cool topic: how to build a motivating space. This episode is perfect for B2 learners who want to practice English and learn how to create an environment that pushes them forward. I think this idea is amazing because it shows how your surroundings can change your habits. So, listen carefully and let's explore this together. We all want to achieve our goals, like studying more, eating healthier, or exercising regularly. But sometimes we rely too much on motivation and it doesn't last. Why? Because motivation is like a spark. It comes and goes. The good news is you don't need to depend on it. By building a motivating space, you can make good habits easier and reach your goals without struggling. Let's see how this works with a real example and some practical tips. In the 1990s, New York City had a big problem with crime. Some areas were full of vandalism, like broken windows and graffiti, and people felt unsafe. Two experts, James Wilson and George Kelling, had a theory called broken windows. They said small signs of disorder, like broken windows, send a message that nobody cares, which encourages more crime. So the city decided to test this idea. They fixed broken windows, cleaned graffiti, and stopped small crimes, like jumping subway gates. The result was incredible. Crime dropped a lot. I think this shows how powerful your environment can be. A clean, orderly space changed how people acted, and it made the city safer. This story teaches us something important. Your environment shapes your habits. If your space is messy or full of distractions, it's hard to stay focused or motivated. But if you create a space that supports your goals, good habits become easier. Let's look at why motivation alone isn't enough and how to build a space that helps you succeed. Motivation doesn't last because it's an emotion, like happiness or sadness. It comes and goes. For example, you might feel excited to start exercising, but after a few days, that feeling fades and you stop. I think relying on motivation is like trying to catch the wind. It's not reliable. Society often says, just be disciplined, or you need more willpower. But willpower is hard to maintain if your environment works against you. For example, if you want to study, but your desk is covered with snacks and your phone keeps buzzing, you'll get distracted. Your space needs to help you, not fight you. So, how can you build a motivating space? Here are some key ideas. First, your environment shapes your habits. If you want to eat healthier, keep fruits and nuts in your kitchen instead of cookies and chips. When healthy food is easy to grab, you'll choose it without thinking. I think this is a smart way to make good choices automatic. It's like the New York story. When the environment looks good, you act better. Second, don't rely on self-control. People who seem to have strong willpower often just have a better environment. For example, if you want to read more, keep a book on your desk instead of a TV remote. If there's no TV in your bedroom, you won't watch it late at night. This makes good habits easier because temptations aren't around. I think this is a great trick because it saves your energy for other things. Third, use triggers to start habits. Triggers are small things in your environment that remind you to act. For example, if you put your running shoes by the door, you'll remember to go for a run in the morning. Or if you set a study time every day, like 7 p.m., your brain will know it's time to focus. I think triggers are like little helpers that make habits automatic. You don't need to decide, your space decides for you. Now, let's talk about how to design your space to make change easy. First, make good habits simple. Start small to avoid feeling overwhelmed. For example, if you want to exercise, go to the gym once a week for 30 minutes. It's easier than trying to go every day. Or, if you want to read more, keep a book on your table and read 1 page a night. Small steps add up. I think starting small is key because it makes habits feel doable. Second, make bad habits harder. If you check your phone too much, put it in another room while you work. If you spend too much money shopping, delete shopping apps from your phone or leave your credit card at home. These obstacles make bad habits less tempting. For example, using smaller plates can help you eat less because you'll take smaller portions. I think this is a clever way to control bad habits without needing willpower. Third, create automatic routines. Use apps to block distracting websites, like social media, while you study. Or set alarms to remind you of your habits, like drinking water or stretching. These tools make your environment work for you. I think this is like having a coach who keeps you on track. Finally, surround yourself with people who share your goals. If your friends eat healthy or exercise, you're more likely to do the same. Join a study group, a book club, or a sports team. When people around you have good habits, those habits become contagious. I think this is one of the strongest ways to stay motivated because your environment includes the people you spend time with. To finish, motivation alone isn't enough because it fades. But by building a motivating space, you can make good habits easy and bad habits hard. Fix your environment, like New York fixed its broken windows, and you'll see big changes. Start small, use triggers, remove temptations, and find supportive people. Your space can push you to succeed without needing constant willpower. Thank you for listening to Learn English today. I hope this slow and clear episode helped you practice your English and learn how to build a motivating space. Share it with a friend. Keep practicing, keep learning, and see you next time.